Hi everybody, and welcome to the Assessment 1 video, which will give you an overview of the requirements of the essay. And this is in the unit EDU 6016, Understanding Behaviour in Classroom Practice. So meeting the deadline of this essay is the number one thing to work towards. Please check your assessment information sheet for the day that your assessment is due. It will be due on that day at 5 p.m. And do keep in mind that ELAs can actually penalise you for handing your assessment in late, anything up to 10% per day for 5 days, which means that after 5 days late, the assessment will be graded as 0. So if you feel like you're not going to meet that deadline, you can actually ask your ELA for an extension of 48 hours, anything up to 48 hours. And if you need longer than that, you will need to apply for a long extension using the form in the student portal. You do need a very good reason to be granted a long extension past 48 hours. It's usually only granted in extenuating circumstances such as bereavement or illness. So just keep that in mind to plan your time carefully for this assessment. The assessment is worth 30% of your overall mark for the unit, and to pass this unit overall, you do need at least 50%. There is a word limit of 1,500 words on this essay. You can go over that by 10% only, or you can go under by 10%. I wouldn't recommend that you go under 10% because it means you might be at risk of not covering all the criteria. If you go over 10%, the ELA can choose not to read any of the text that goes over that limit, which again means that if the ELA is not reading the entire essay, it means you could be missing out on covering some of the criteria. So please write succinctly and make sure you do a check on your word count as you go and at the completion of your essay before you hand it in. So you have 2 quotes to choose from in this essay. And the first one, the evidence is unequivocal. Children having difficulty regulating emotions, paying attention, initiating peer interactions, and sustaining engagement in learning tasks are at risk for school difficulties. And the second quote, children's experience within school is crucial in determining their likelihood of MHD, mental health disorders, but this experience is clearly individual in nature, and individual differences in competencies such as self-regulation and social skills may help to explain why children in similar environments may experience different levels of well-being. Now, the purpose of these quotes is to provide some parameters around discussing the behaviours that you'll be analysing. So you don't really need to go to the source of those quotes and do further information on those authors. It's purely, the quotes are purely a way of containing the discussion, and try not to get bogged down in what the consequences of the behaviour might be. Your aim here is really just to unpack that quote, decide what the behaviours are that you can see or that you can understand come out of this quote, and then use theory to discuss those behaviours. So having a look at why the reasons might occur, why the behaviours might occur, and that might include social, emotional or cognitive reasons. So just trying to use the theory that you've chosen to explain those behaviours. At this point, you don't need to discuss strategies to deal with those behaviours or teaching methods to address the behaviours. We're not up to that point in the unit. At this point, we are purely looking at behaviour, identifying the behaviour, and then using theory to help understand or to explain those behaviours. So in this essay, you'll choose one theory only to discuss the behaviour. So don't try to cover all of the theories, just make sure you keep to one theory only so that you get enough depth in the discussion. You're demonstrating the understanding that behaviour is a socio-cultural construct. So when you do your definition of behaviour, please avoid dictionary definitions. We're looking for a definition of behaviour that explains it as a sociocultural construct, which is, you know, your learnings coming out of the unit around that. So make sure you use your, you know, provide a definition that is in context of the learnings of this unit, which is all about behaviour as a sociocultural construct. Introduce the quote you've chosen and then identify the behaviours that you see can come out of those quotes that you can discuss. Please try to stick to one of the 5 behaviour theories that are presented to you in the unit, and that's a list of them there. I strongly encourage you to not go looking for alternative theories. We have these 5 provided, and those are the ones that you should stick to for the purposes of this assessment. The writing style and referencing is important in this essay. It is a formal or academic essay, so therefore you need to not write in first person. So we don't want to see any me's, I's, we's, ours, or you's. The referencing is in APA only. There are lots of resources in the student portal on APA referencing, so please make sure that you understand how to reference correctly. An essay that isn't referenced won't be passed, so it's very important that you acknowledge all of your authors throughout your essay. Try to use quality sources of information. Go to the Swinburne Library, the online library, and make sure that all of your sources have been peer reviewed, so that means they're academic resources and that you're not just pulling out information that you found on Wikipedia or any kind of other websites that aren't necessarily academic without a solid research base. Okay, to submit this assessment, you go to Canvas and click on Assignments. And when you do this, you will find it will come up with Assessment 1 Essay. You click on that, and then you scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll find the Turnitin box, and there you will upload your assessment. If you have any trouble with that, please let your ELA know, and I'm sure your ELA can talk you through that. Also, it's very helpful if you can label your assessment or name your file, I should say, with Assessment 1, that should be Assessment 1 Essay Final. So the words final in your essay should be part of the name of your essay. Check the Turnitin originality score. So this is a choice that you have. There's a bit of a practice submission area that you can use, and that will give you the chance to upload your essay and check for originality. If the match to originality is quite high, then that it's possible that you're at risk of plagiarism. Not necessarily. It's really all about whether you have been paraphrasing correctly, that you haven't been copying huge slabs of information from your sources into your essay. If you do that, again, that would be seen as poor academic writing. But certainly if you've just copied a whole lot of text from the internet or from other places, that could put you at risk of plagiarism. So it's a good idea to check that originality score before you actually submit your final copy. We do use a holistic rubric for this assessment. That means that you need to meet each of the criteria points at the grade level. So to receive a pass, you will need to have met all of those criteria points at pass level, and then going up to each grade level again. There'll be a description for each grade level, and you need to have met the requirements in whole for that particular grade level. So these are the dot points for a pass. The introduction must clearly identify what behaviour is understood to be. Please don't forget to include that description of behaviour or that definition. We cannot pass your essay unless you do that. That you have made a sound argument in relation to socio-cultural constructs. The learning behaviour theory is clearly stated and appropriate for addressing the chosen quote. and the relationship between theory and the quote is explained. You have drawn on an appropriate range of sources. So you have used the learning materials as sources, that's important, as well as doing some further research to deepen your understandings. Possible reasons for the behaviour have been provided, and your writing or your written expression is at the requirements of a university course. So do make sure you proofread your essay, or get a friend or someone to do that for you, to make sure your spelling, punctuation and grammar and sentence structure is all in order. And remember that the essay must be written in third person. Now, I won't go through all of these criteria points. We might be able to discuss these a bit more at the Q&A session. But basically, the way this rubric works is that if you've covered all of those points at pass level, then the ELA will then have a look at the credit level and see if you have covered the points at credit level. And you have to have covered all of the points, not some of the points, to be awarded that credit. So you'll see as the holistic rubric goes up in grade, we're looking for more depth, more detail. We're looking for your research being very valid, being relevant. We're looking for succinct writing. We are looking for your ability to be a bit creative at the higher end of the rubric, and for you to demonstrate critical thinking. So you're not just copying and pasting information and putting it together. You've actually developed a solid understanding, and you can articulate your understanding very well in your essay. So you'll see that those expectations go up higher and higher. At the distinction level, we're looking for critical reading and critical thinking. Okay, well, good luck everybody in completing your essay. Please don't forget about the Assessment 1 discussion forum. Your ELA is ready and willing to answer all of your questions there. And if you can come along to the question and answer collaborate session, which will be soon, then you can ask lots and lots of questions and get all the help you need. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you.